What's good, YouTube? It's KingX coming to you guys with a brand new video, and today in this video we're going to be talking about the best class setups for Rebirth. Now this also works in Payload as well. That was kind of the game mode I was playing quite a bit recently, and these top 5 classes are definitely going to be very great to use, especially if you want to have an advantage over your opponent. Now there are 3 honorable mentions, number 1 being the Cooper Carbine, the Vargo 52, and the Owen Gun. All 3 of those weapons have been very viable and have been very great as of recent in Rebirth, but let's go ahead and talk about 5 other class setups that are actually very good and will help your loadout tremendously. Now, you do not have to worry about the perks that I'm running here. I'm focusing on the weapons themselves. Let's go ahead and talk about the XM4. So for the muzzle, we're running the agency suppressor. It gives you sound suppression, a vertical recoil control, and a bullet velocity, as well as effective damage range. You do lose some ADS speed, aim walking steadiness, and aiming stability. I'm gonna be honest with you, aim walking steadiness and aiming stability don't really matter. Your ADS speed does slightly take a hit, but with this class setup, you're not really going to be worrying too much about how quick it actually does ADS. Now let's go on to the barrel, and we have the 13.5 task force. You have bullet velocity, horizontal recoil control, and effective damage range, as well as the vertical recoil control. With this class setup, we're kind of going with a gun that can take people out from mid-range and of course long range, as well as having literally no recoil at all. You will notice with this class when you're running it, there's no recoil. Now for the cons, we have the aim walking move speed, hip fire accuracy, increased ADS speed, and increased movement speed, increased ADS speed, and decreased sprint to move speed. So kind of unfortunate there, but it is what it is. We have the OPTIC as the axial arms 3x scope. This is probably the best scope to run when it comes to the Black Ops Cold War weapons. Next we have the magazine, which is the 45 round mag and just increases your bullets. And for the underbarrel, we are running the field agent grip, and it gives you horizontal recoil control and vertical recoil control at the cons of firing move speed and ADS firing move speed as well. So I'm gonna be honest with you, this class is very good. This is by far probably the best XM4 class you could make. Next we have our secondary, which is the MP40. Now the reason I have it in the secondary category is mainly because this weapon can really excel as your second weapon. You don't really have to run it as your starting weapon, but I find it to work out quite well even as a starting primary weapon. But let's go ahead and talk about the muzzle, which is the recoil booster. It increases your fire rate and you do lose some accuracy. Next we have for the barrel, which is the VDD 189mm short, increases your damage range and your limb damage, but you do lose some headshot damage. I'm gonna be honest with you, what is the chances that you're shooting at the head 24/7 and hitting every single bullet? Very unlikely. You probably will have these stray bullets that will be hitting limb damage, and it's definitely going to be helping when you're running the 189mm short compared to a couple of the other attachments that really don't do much for you. Next we have the slate reflector, which is basically just the red dot sight for the World War II weapons. Nothing too much to talk about there. For the stock, we have the Krosnick 33M folding. For the pros, you have sprint to fire speed and you have movement speed. You also do lose initial firing recoil, but we'll talk more about that later on because you actually won't be losing your initial firing recoil when we go over to a couple other attachments. Number 1 being the underbarrel, we have the M1941 hand stop. By far probably the best underbarrel to run when it comes to the World War II weapons. Increases your recoil control and of course your accuracy. You do lose hip fire accuracy. Next we have for the magazine, we have the 7.62 Gorenko 45 round mags. Recoil control, movement speed, ADS speed, and firing rates. For the cons, you have bullet velocity, damage, bullet penetration, and damage range. Now for the ammunition, we are going to be getting back some of that bullet velocity by putting on lengthen, so you can never go wrong with it. Lengthen is by far the best ammunition to run. For the rear grip, we are running the stipple. It gives you recoil recovery and initial firing recoil, which was slightly lost in the Krosnick 33M folding. And also for the perk where you're running Perfectionist, it gives you recoil control, but you do lose some flinch resistance as well. So when you are getting shot, you will flinch just slightly more. For perk 2, you're running quick for the increased sprint speed. Why wouldn't you want to run quicker when you're running this class? There's not really a point to it, so definitely go ahead and put quick on, increase your speed, and that is the class for the MP40. Now let's go ahead and talk about weapon number 3, and this one is going to be the Fara 83. Very reliable gun. This gun was taking over Verdansk at one point. The Fara 83, you can nerf this gun, you can do whatever you want to it. It's still a beast of a gun regardless. So let's go ahead and talk about the muzzle, and we have the GRU suppressor. It gives you sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, which always is a plus, and effective damage range, so you can increase the damage that you could actually use and shoot your guns from. Of course, for the cons, we have ADS speed, aim walking steadiness, and aiming stability. Next, we have the 18.7 Spetsnaz RPK barrel. increases your bullet velocity, decreases horizontal recoil control, effective damage range, and vertical recoil control. When it comes to a lot of these class setups, making sure that your gun have basically no recoil and being able to control your guns is always a plus. And this class is definitely going to be helping with that. Now for the cons, you do have some aim walking move speed, hip fire accuracy, ADS speed, and sprinting move speed. The next one we are running with is the OPTIC, and it's an ARMS 3x scope. Like I said, on all the Cold War weapons, the 3x scope and the 3x scope and the Microflex LED are by far the two best attachments when it comes to these weapons. Next, we have the Spetsnaz 60 round mag. For the ammo capacity, you do lose ADS speed and reload quickness. The one thing I have noticed is that the reload quickness, you definitely will notice it with this class. I guess you could run the VDV 60 round fast mag if you're really worried about your reload quickness, but you do lose some ADS speed, so I don't really think it's worth it. Next, we have the GRU elastic wrap for the rear grip, and it gives you ADS speed, flinch resistance, and aiming stability. The other three cons besides sprint to fire speed really don't matter too much, but that is a class when it comes to the FARA 83, a very reliable gun. Your mobility is affected, but everything else is in the green. Now for the next gun we are going to be talking about is the AK-47, one of my favorite guns in Call of Duty history, and this weapon is very great in Rebirth. So we're starting off with the muzzle. We have the GRU suppressor for sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, and effective damage range. You do lose some ADS speed, aim walking steadiness, and aiming stability. 2 out of 3 don't even matter. For this one, we are running the Microflex LED over the axial 3x scope. Like I said, red dot sight can never go wrong on an AK. Next, for the stock, we have the KGB skeletal stock, ADS firing move speed, aim walking movement speed, and sprint to fire. You also lose some hip fire accuracy. For the magazine, we are running the 45 round mag. For the ammo capacity, at a loss of reload quickness. This one you actually won't even really notice. I guess if you wanted to, you could potentially put on one of these 60 round mags. 45 round works perfectly fine. And for the rear grip, we are running the serpent wrap to get some of the ADS speed back. Do lose a slight bit to your sprint to fire time. And this is the best AK class to run in Rebirth. For the 5th and final class, we have the old reliable, and this gun is on this list for a couple different reasons. Number one, the Grau is by far probably the most versatile weapon in the entire game, I guess you could say, for Warzone. You could use this gun up close, you could use it at mid-range, and you could use it at long range as well. This gun excels at basically everywhere, so there's not a reason why not to use it, and it's been getting very popular even after its multiple nerfs in the past. So, starting off with the monolithic suppressor, and the pros are sound suppression and damage range. You do lose some ADS speed and aim walking steadiness. For the barrel, we are running the Tempest 26.4 arch angle. This one gives you the biggest barrel, which means the damage range will be increased. Bullet velocity is also there, and you will get a better control on your weapon with the recoil control. You lose some aim down sight speed and also some movement speed. For the next one, we are running the Underbarrel, which is a commando foregrip. It gives your recoil stabilization and aiming stability at the loss of movement speed. For the magazine, we are running the 60 round mags, and this one, of course, you do lose some ADS speed and movement speed, but the magazine ammo capacity is up to 60 bullets, so you can never go wrong with that. Now for the rear grip, we are running the XRK Void 2, which gives you ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. So the two losses that you would have had to sprint to fire and ADS speed on this class, you're actually getting that back. You do lose some aiming stability, but that is obviously negated with one of the other previous attachments, and you also do lose some recoil control. Like I said, this gun, it's very versatile. There's not a single point where you're thinking this gun has too much recoil. It literally excels at almost every range. Of course, at the medium and long range, but very good primary. I love this weapon. A lot of other people on Warzone do love it as well, and it's a gun that just literally never goes out of style, to be honest with you. It's a great gun, always works, ADS. You don't even have to worry about putting an optic on this gun either. The actual iron sights on it are actually very well put together, and you don't even have to worry about it. So that is the 5 class setups that I have for you guys today. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions on these 5 classes. Let me know how you guys do in Rebirth actually using these weapons. Top 5 weapons in the game, no doubt about it. But with that being said, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, put on post notifications so you guys don't miss another video. Have a great rest of your day. I'm out. Peace.